Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hot Seat Devy Show. My name is Jack and I'm joined as always by Phil. But as a special guest appearance, we have the one, the only, the OG of the Hot Seat. Mags is here with us. So I'm going to completely ignore Phil to start with and turn to you, Mags. How are you doing this week, my friend?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you, Jack. It's great to be on the show. I listened to your first episode as it came out 2 weeks ago now, I suppose, as this episode comes out. Absolutely love it. Loved the show when it was going out on the Wildcard platform. Love it even more over on the Dynasty Hotseat. I think you guys do wonderful, wonderful work. And then I heard that you guys are mock drafting, and that's kind of where the hot seat was built. It's like I gotta be a part of this. I gotta come on the show and draft along with you guys. So absolute pleasure to be on. How are you doing, my friend? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. We are. My house is like the plague. We've had illness after illness. Unfortunately, I've avoided it all, so we're doing okay. I feel healthy. But Nurse Jack has been at the ready for the kids and the wife. But yeah, we're doing well. Excited for this show. Excited to mock draft. We've not kind of even teased the fact that we're going to do a mock draft tonight. We've kept that really close to our chest, so we're excited for that. And I know Phil is buzzing. This was Phil's master plan to come up with a 2027 and 28 class mock draft tonight. So he is buzzing and chomping at the bit to get going. How are you doing, Phil?
Yeah, I'm really good, really good. So obviously, after show one dropped, I was looking through the YouTube comments, and one of the comments said, "Any chance of you guys doing a Devy mock?" I was like, yes, we will. Let's do a Devy mock." And I kind of figured we're at the stage of the season where our 2026 class are pretty much looked at as dynasty rookies now. In the off season, we will hit the incoming freshman class like we do every year. We'll break down the tape of the top incoming high school prospects. But right now, we've got two really good classes. We've known about the 2027 class for a while. There are some impact players making a real name for themselves as freshmen. And we thought if we just take those two classes and just chuck them together, what does a draft / big board look like? So the way it's going to work effectively is we have all gone away and prepared a two-round mock. We are going to run it then as a traditional draft, and we are just going to take whatever spot we're up to, whoever is the top person on our board at that moment, which should lead, the next person doesn't know who's picking who. It's going to lead to some nice conversations, who's reached, who has stacked it, and yeah, we'll debate how high I should put Nick Marsh.
We will not. We've already had that debate. The listeners don't need to hear that again. But before we get to our mock draft, there is some news. So firstly, this is Rivalry Week. And I know for myself and for Phil, these are two of the biggest games on the college football calendar, not just for our teams, but for the college football in general. We've got the Iron Bowl as Auburn take on Alabama, and we've got the game, Ohio State travel to Michigan, trying to end a 4-game losing streak. So we're not going to do a deep dive. We're not a preview pod, but Phil, how are you feeling about your Crimson Tide going into this weekend? And is there a more fun college weekend than this one?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is the best weekend. Like, there is something so brilliant about the kind of the legacies. Like, look at it this way: in America, like these rivalry games split families. Like there's state politics, there's history, there's all sorts of weird and wacky traditions. Some of the most amazing trophies you will ever see, and yeah, it's just so deeply rooted in everything. So you get Thanksgiving. Obviously, Thanksgiving will have been and gone by the time this episode drops on Friday. So people are still going to be full of turkey and going to be like ready to just settle down and watch some unbelievable college football. And what's amazing about this year in particular is so many of those big rivalries can actually swing who makes it into championship games. It can swing college football playoff seedings, etc. So as far as I go as an Alabama fan, obviously the Iron Bowl is a massive game. And really now it's a must-win for Bama after dropping the game at Oklahoma a fortnight ago. I would feel a lot more confident about it had I not watched Deuce Knight absolutely tear through Mercer last week. Yes, it was only Mercer. But credit where it's due, it was a hell of a performance from the freshman in his kind of debut. And it's going to be all eyes on that one for me.
Yeah, we'll see if Deuce Knight features in our mock draft after that breakout performance. Mercer tempers the expectations a little bit, but blimey, it was exciting. If any of you were brave enough to play him in your college fantasy football semifinals, well done. I can't imagine many people took that gamble based on how Auburn's offense had been rolling. But yeah, rivalry weekend is here. And it also, like we say, this is championship weekend for college fantasy football league. So that means the college side of your campus to Canton Devy leagues are meeting for championship weekend. So all the best in your matchups. We hope that you have already made the right selections. Phil and I are not going up against each other in any of our title games. I don't believe. You can fact check me on that one.
No, I bowed out in the semi-finals of our straight college football league, didn't I? And obviously we set up a wildcard Devy C2C league at the end of last season or at the start of this season. I have made the campus final of that. So yeah, let's see if we can bring home a chip.
Yeah, I think we just couldn't hog the limelight, and one of us had to bow out in each semi-final the leagues are in together. So Mags, how are you feeling about rivalry weekend? What kind of games are you excited about? What kind of traditions are you interested in seeing this weekend?
So rivalry week's always a great one. It's been a couple of years now that I've been really in depth on watching college football, and the more you watch it, the more you kind of realize, oh, the rivalries are way bigger in college football than they are in the NFL. Like, there's some kind of like healthy respect in a lot of the rivalries in the NFL, and there's some exact opposites in college football where there's no respect, like, at all. It really is like life and death. It's much closer to what we would experience, over across the pond we are with like your football, your soccer rivalries. It's much more like, no, there's no love lost at all. So I don't have any games in particular. Obviously, the game is one you always want to watch out for. I try and do make a point of watching that live whenever I can. That's when you always really highlight and mark on your calendar. The other ones, your Auburn, Alabama, was it Oregon, Washington? There's a lot of calendar markers for sure. I love just watching all the games. I got to be honest, boys. I haven't fully embraced the team. I kind of have a soft spot for Oregon. But I think it's because the uniforms are so cool. But I haven't fully embraced it, so I kind of get to sit back and enjoy just watching all the games, which is great. And I think it's a completely different experience watching it live, watching the full game, seeing the fans in attendance, and it is like just watching like the highlights or getting clips here and there. And I like rivalry because I always circle it on the calendar and make sure I'll watch a couple of games live.
Yeah, it's a great one. It's a great weekend to just sit back and watch any kind of game because something is on the line for every game. And, we talk about, we're obviously a Devy show. We're looking at our Devy players. Rivalry weekend gives people a chance to really put their foot in the ground, make a real mark for their futures, but also to leave a mark on their school's legacy. And I think that's a really good thing about this time of year for college football, even though some teams, now we've got the expanded playoff, so there are more teams kind of in the mix, but traditionally at this time of year, you could have had some players who were kind of winding it down, ready for the NFL draft. As ridiculous as that sounds already, not wanting to get injured, but rivalry week kind of stops you doing that for players that really care about their school. This was always kind of kept them in the game, kept them focused and interested. The NFL is very professional, like you said, Mags, and college maybe in some ways is becoming more like that. But in terms of the rivalries, absolutely not. This is pandemonium and amateurism at its finest, and it's going to help you keep an eye on your Devy stars. Obviously, those guys that are in these 27, 28 classes, they've got no reason to sit out. But even your 26 stars, they're going to be playing. They're going to be wanting to have a huge impact to either get their school into the playoffs or maybe ruin somebody else's playoffs chances or just take home the most weird, wacky, ridiculously shaped trophy you've ever seen in your life. Football in the UK has nothing like this. All our trophies are either gold or silver, and they're either a cup or some kind of hands holding a globe. When you've seen a trophy made of wood that looks like a turtle, called the Paul Bunyan Trophy, that's something. You've lived something there. You've lived something there.
Special.
Yes, I like the fact that I can't remember which rivalry it is. There's one that's literally an axe. Like that's what you win. You win an axe. Like that'll do for me. I want the axe. I want to play in that rivalry game.
I love it.
Love it.
Obviously, the only other real bit of news isn't any news yet, but stands a chance of being really monumental news if and when someone finally makes a decision, and that's regarding Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. So, Jack, tell us what's been going on with Lane Kiffin. Tell the people what we know so far, what your gut feeling tells you, and then I'll wade in with a little bit of a rant.
Oh yeah, well, Lane Kiffin is playing with fire, and he's like the guy on a night out who can't decide which girl he's interested in. He's playing the dance floor, he's moving and shaking, and his girlfriend in the corner has noticed and is getting a little bit upset with his behavior. Yeah, Kiffin is obviously the head coach at Ole Miss. Ole Miss would like to retain him. He has kind of taken Ole Miss from a perennial also ran. It's probably it's a bit harsh, but also ran someone who's kind of highs and lows are never that high or that low, to a team that is suddenly challenging for a national championship in some shape or form. Lane Kiffin could go down as the greatest coach in Ole Miss history if he stays, if he doesn't have to win the national championship to do that. He's done a lot. The problem is he's very non-committal about his future, while, as we mentioned in our last episode, several huge head coaching jobs have opened. That obviously includes LSU and Florida are the two that Lane Kiffin is really being mooted for. And before the LSU job came open, it almost felt like a done deal that Lane Kiffin would go to Florida at the end of the season and it would be quite clean. But the fact that LSU has opened up in this way has actually made the whole process really murky, and it started early, the underhand talks. Now, obviously, Lane Kiffin is a coach, so it's not like an NFL player being like tapped up, or maybe more in football terms being tapped up, like soccer terms. You think of players who have kind of been, they can't officially be spoken to because no bid's been put in, but somebody who's connected to somebody who's connected to somebody is whispering in the ears of the player saying, we want you. That kind of feels like what's happening here, and Kiffin hasn't really put a stop to it. And so it feels like he's really enjoying it, and I just don't like it's not a good image for him, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I get that. I think, funnily enough, I'm going to say that Nick Saban said it best. If you saw Nick Saban on College Game Day last week, I think he said it best when he said, this isn't a Lane Kiffin conundrum, it's a college football conundrum. And I've seen some really, really good articles in this last kind of week or so debating how the college football calendar doesn't align with the academics calendar. And until those things are in sync, you are going to fail to stop this from happening. You're right in terms of Lane Kiffin seemingly liking the attention. I love the analogy of the mover and shaker on the dance floor, lining up his options. Let's just hope he's not in the situation where he has to go home and have a wank instead.
Are we saying that he needs to? Are we saying he needs to pick a lane? Is that what we're saying?
Right.
Very good, very good. Where do you see him landing, Mags? Where do you think he should go?
I would like to see him at LSU, personally. I think there's more fun that he could have there at LSU with the players that are there currently. Obviously, with NIL, you never know who's going to be there. But I think he could have a lot of fun over at LSU with the kind of style that he brings. Does that mean then that every player out of LSU, all of a sudden we have to question if they can transfer over to the NFL like we've been doing for Ole Miss players for years? I'm not sure. But I think if he can go over to LSU, if he can get a run game going at LSU, I mean, that would be great. So Give me LSU. I would like to see him there.
Well, I mean, he's already planted the seeds, hasn't he? He sent his daughter there mid-season to go date with Weeks and sabotage the LSU and Brian Kelly regime. So the next thing is, of course, he's going to take the head coaching job.
Love it.
Brian Kelly didn't need any help sabotaging his own job there.
That is very, very true. That is very, very true. Well, should we mock draft?
Yes.
Let's.
Fantastic. So just to run that by the people again, what we're going to do is we've got our mock draft board ready to go. We are going to go through. We've all prepared our own mock drafts. What we're going to do is we're going to take the highest person available on our board when it is our turn to pick. We'll give you the numbers. We'll tell you what we like, what we don't like. We'll boo, we'll jeer, we'll heckle one another's choices. And then hopefully give you guys, the listeners, some idea of where we see these next two classes in terms of the Devy landscape. Who got the honor of going first, Jack?
Well, it is guests first, even though he is the granddaddy of the hot seat. He is our guest. So, Mags, you have the 101. Who you take in as the first player in the 27-28 combined mock draft?
Well, I do appreciate that you two are obviously the experts on Devy. I appreciate the layup here. That is very kind of you. I think even though I'm not an expert here, I'm going to go out on a limb, guys. I'm going to lock in Jeremiah Smith without too much discussion. And
Reach.
I think, I mean, I can already hear the conversations I'm going to have during the mock drafts of the 27 class. And it's going to be, does he have any kind of flaw in here? Is there anything that we can look at? Is there anything we can go, oh, this might be a problem? The only thing I can think of is when it was Marvin Harrison Jr., we were saying the exact same thing. But I think comparing him to other players is kind of, that's a reach, Phil. If I've said anything like that's when we're reaching to try and find things. Boys, do you have anything you could say about Jeremiah Smith that might convince anyone to not take him at 1?
Jack?
Only if they're in leagues with me and I have the 102. Because this guy is phenomenal. He's 6'3", 225 pounds. As a freshman, he put up over 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns at Ohio State. That is, there are two universities that I class as the premier wide receiver universities, and that's Ohio State and LSU. For a freshman to come in and absolutely dominate in a way that he did was incredible. He's physical, smooth player, rock solid hands. He's got everything, and I think he has that top end speed that maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't quite have. I think we really liked Marvin Harrison Jr. And what we saw in college, but actually we've seen more already from Jeremiah Smith. The way we spoke about Marvin Harrison Jr. in his sophomore year, we actually were speaking about Jeremiah Smith coming out of high school.
Yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal. I don't have much to say. I mean, we could talk about Jeremiah Smith all day probably, but I think people know how good he is, right?
I think they do. I think it's fairly obvious. So we're going to move on to the 102, and I have the 102, but I'm actually going to take a player that I'm then going to let Phil talk all about, because this is Phil's absolute love child. I have boosted Malachi Tony all the way up to my 102 in this draft class. He is a very different kind of receiver to Jeremiah Smith. So he's 5'11", 190 pounds. So far in his freshman season at Miami, 71 receptions, 844 yards, which is nothing to be sniffed at, and 6 touchdowns. But it's those 71 targets, or well, not even targets, 71 catches that he has, which really stands out. He's super quickly established himself as the number 1 option at Miami. He's developed rapport with a really experienced quarterback in Carson Beck, but also gained the trust of the coaching staff. He's like a really agile receiver, good hands, crisp route running, dynamic playmaker, someone you want to get the ball into the hands of. And Phil and I mentioned this kind of receiver in our last few episodes. Is the kind of guy that in the NFL is that chess piece that you can move all around the offense. He can line up in the slot. He can play outside. that Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of player that can do it all, and his sleight of frame, which maybe previously would have been a knock, is no longer seemingly a barrier for NFL teams.
Yeah, agree completely. The thing that gets me is despite his more diminutive size, like the fact that he's not the biggest wide receiver, is the physicality he plays with. And he finishes every catch, every carry, every reception by falling forward and looking for as many yards that are possibly there. And that, for me, it just makes him easy to fall in love with. Add the fact that he does all the work across the middle of the field. He does a bit of everything. And I am absolutely convinced that Miami's biggest job this season is finding him a quarterback that helps him level up to the next system, or the kind of next tier, if you like. And that, for me, there's rumors about who that might be. The latest rumor I'm hearing is that they are going to make a big push for somebody that I will be including in this draft a little bit later. Obviously, we spoke previously about the fact that there's another rumor they're going to make a push at Lenoris Sellers. They have that history over the last couple of years with Cam Ward and now Carson Beck of grabbing those kind of transfer guys and helping them kind of elevate their draft stock. So, yeah, hopefully Malachi Turney, basically they're pulling a name good enough to retain him and keep him and develop him as well, even further. But I love the pick. It's a little bit higher than when I had him, but I'm not going to hate it at all.
Yeah, Mags, what have you seen of Malachi Turney so far this season? Have you been able to watch any of him? What do you like about him?
Well, I had him at 3 in my rankings, so it kind of shows you that he was way up there for me anyway. I think that I can't get over that is he 18? Is that right? They definitely said he was 18, at least in one of the games I watched, and you're just like, wow, he's so good already. He's being trusted to do so much already in this offense that, I mean, it's not exactly like they don't have any kind of other wide receivers on there that they could be using. Like, they've got guys like CJ Daniels right on there who's a very solid player, and they're just being like, nope, like we'd rather throw get Tony. We'd rather get Tony to throw passes than Carson Beck at the minute as well. He's not throwing like a 2-point conversion and a touchdown this season as well. Like he does a little bit of everything. I think whenever you first see him, he wears that number 10. The comparisons to Tyreek Hill are obviously there. The more I've watched him, I'm like, he's not that, actually. The more I watch him, he doesn't have that kind of lightning speed that Tyreek had, where you literally never seen anyone catch Tyreek Hill ever. Tony has been caught from behind a couple of times, but he's going to get faster, right? Like, he's a freshman now. You'd think by the time he's a senior, that might not be happening. That's the scary part of him. It's the upside, and the trajectory here that Tony is on just seems absolutely huge. He's someone I was kind of hoping would sneak to me at my second pick, so I'm slightly gutted that he's not. But I also feel good. It's like, hey, I'm not screwing up. I had this guy ranked really high, and you took him out, so I'm kind of pleased.
Great. Well, we are glad that we are all in sync on Malachi Turney. Phil, who are you taking with your first pick at the 103?
Yeah, so I'm going to break our golden rule, Jack. I'm going to break away from the skill positions because there are very few quarterbacks who I feel completely comfortable in taking. And I feel like when you're on the board and you have the opportunity to get someone without those questions, then you take them. And right now, Julian Sayin has answered every question mark that we had. And he looks like an elite prospect that can play ball at a high level on Sundays. I don't buy into this. But he's doing it at Ohio State. Anyone could do it at Ohio State because, respectfully to some of the guys you've had playing quarterback that weren't named CJ Stroud over the last few years, it still hasn't looked this good. He's operating that offense at an elite level, 27 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 2,800 plus yards. He is cerebral. He's reading it well. He's making all the right calls. I don't think there's a throw that he can't make. Like, it sickens me that we lost him and he jumped into the portal when Saban left because he could be playing at Bama right now. He's not. He's playing for you guys. But he'll be playing for my Devy team and my Dynasty team on a Sunday because I'm drafting him here.
Very nice, very nice. It is breaking our golden rule, and I'm a little bit upset with you about it, to be honest. But a quarterback goes at the 103. Mags, how do you see saying amongst the quarterbacks that are available in this class?
I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't love Julian Sayin. I have to say, from what I've seen in him, I think he's maybe a little bit of a system guy. Some of the notes I've got on him, some of the weeks I've been like, wow, like this is absolutely superb. I've got notes on him from week 8. Whoever you guys were playing in week 8, it was insane. Like it was so accurate. The release was really quick. It was really smooth. He was using all kinds of passes, Phil, like you said. But I've noticed a lot this year. It looks like the wide receivers are adjusting a lot. I don't know. There's probably stats for this out there, but it looks to me like you're having the wide receivers having to adjust their stride patterns, having to move where they don't necessarily want to be, maybe bailing them out a little bit. I'm not fully up to date on Ohio State games. I haven't seen the latest one, so it might be that he is addressing it as he's going on. But for me, I still see a few question marks for Julian saying I don't think that he puts enough zip on the ball for the next level either. So I would go on a limit. He's not one of my guys at all. But I am surprised to see him go so high, actually. So maybe it's something that I need to go and readjust and relook at Julian saying, because he wasn't really on my radar for the first round at all. So maybe it's something I need to go look into.
Fair enough. I think it sounds like I kind of sit in the middle of you two guys, which is good for us to get a bit of variety. I've got him kind of end of the first round. I'd have been happy to take him at kind of pick 13 or 14 maybe. He's saying, I'm obviously watching a lot of Julian Sayin. I'm watching a lot of Ohio State. Sayin is incredibly efficient, and he has, like you say, a lightning quick release of the ball. So you're never going to see him. He doesn't really make those bad decisions where he holds onto the ball for too long, because he goes through his progressions really quickly. He's in an offense that is protecting him. Let's be honest, it's Ohio State. They've got a good offensive line there. He gets that ball out really quickly, and he's got elite receivers to throw the ball to who have really good catch radius. Like you say, there are a couple of adjusted catch moments I can think of, especially a couple of like touchdown passes. I can think against Texas, the Carnell Tate's touchdown catch where he had to kind of come back to it at full extension, and it was an incredible catch. It was a slightly short throw, but I would say they're the rarity from what I've seen. They're not the rule. I'd say they're the exception. I've been really impressed with Julian Sayin. I think all the talk over spring was that there was quite a close competition between Sayin and Lincoln Cleanholes, and I feel like that was very much coach speak now, unless Julian Sayin has come on 100 miles an hour in real gameplay. I think he's outclassed what I expected of him. I'm high on him, but he's a quarterback and he's only played 3/4 of a season, so I'm not ready to take him as high as Phil has here. Maybe we need to boot Phil out of the Devy club, because you can't take a quarterback that high.
Anyway. What? When I stop winning, you boot me out.
Okay. That was one of my notes I had for the show. Obviously, based on listening to you guys for so long, I would just have a big note be like, "Don't take quarterback early." Like that's one of my main notes for the show.
I remember one in the first round. For what it's worth, he was the only one that I would take.
Fair. Well, Max, we might have an opening soon. Phil might be retiring from the show. Okay, Max, who are you taking at the 104? Who's the next highest ranked player on your board?
Well, I'm shocked Phil didn't take this guy. I mean, I thought this was the biggest layup of all. It was like whenever you were like, he's got taken my guy, it's like, well, he's obviously going to say Ryan Williams, right? That's obviously the name that's going to come out of his mouth. Give me Ryan Williams. Looking at the notes I have on him this year, can I say not as impressed as I thought I was going to be? Is that too far? I've never seen a player make the spectacular look easy and the easy looks spectacularly difficult. Like, I don't know what it is about him, but it seems like he seems to really lock in when it's time to focus. He's like, right, okay. But is it a concentration thing with Ryan Williams, where if he's not fully thinking about what's going on all the time, then you see these weird drops, you see these weird decisions that he's making? He has all the talent in the world, maybe the best body control I've ever seen out of any receiver I've ever watched, college or NFL. It is spectacular what he's able to do. He's like a gymnast out there, the way he can contort himself and move and twist. I think when he gets into the NFL, I know he's got obviously elite coaching at Alabama, but when he gets into the NFL and he's surrounded by other, elite players and has to maybe fight a bit more for his position, I think we'll really see Ryan Williams become a different kind of beast. And I'm delighted getting him at pick 4 here. What has the Devy consensus been on Williams? Are people starting to fade out on him a little bit because he's had a slightly down year, or are people still super high on Ryan Williams? Phil, I got to ask you, Phil, I suppose, if you're the Alabama guy.
Yes. So first and foremost, I think this is ahead of where other people are right now. I think a lot of other people will still have Smith and Williams 1 and 2. And I've got no doubt that Ryan Williams is going to be a great pro, just like you said. There are issues at the moment. He's been banged up. He's had some niggling injuries. He obviously got concussed week 1 and has struggled to look like himself as well. You look at, as well as Ty Simpson's playing, Ty Simpson isn't locking into one guy. He's spreading the ball around. And Ryan Williams isn't being relied on perhaps in the same way that some of the other dominant college wide receivers have been relied on at the moment. The drops are an issue. Obviously, I think there's a massive case of him getting into his own head, particularly after the one against Georgia. You're right in regards to the body control and the superb athleticism. The thing that concerns me is a tendency to want to body catch rather than taking the ball away from his frame. And I'm wondering if that is a habit that he's struggling to shake off, whether he's feeling like he's got to do it for an extra bit of security with those lingering doubts at the moment. I'm not worried long term. I'm absolutely not worried for long term. I think that is a sound decision taken in there. He was the 103 on my board. 103 on my board. And I'm like I said, long term he's going to be absolutely fine. Just needs the off season to maybe have a bit of a soft reset and then come out swinging next year. It is interesting. Like he leads Bama in drops. That won't be a surprise. But then if you go back a couple of years, Julio Jones led Bama in drops 2 years running. He wasn't bad, was he?
He was all right.
It's all in relation to the quality of the targets you get in, the number of targets you get in, and what you do with the ones that matter, I suppose.
Yeah, I think we're nitpicking an elite prospect here. We really like Ryan Williams. He's a victim of his own success in his freshman season.
Yeah,
he is such a danger with the ball in his hands, such a threat after the catch. Georgia fans won't want to see him anytime soon. It's a solid lock here. I had him as my third player on the board. Okay, we'll move to the 105. We are going to see another wide receiver go off the board. Unsurprisingly, it is Cam Coleman, the big-bodied receiver out of Auburn. We spoke last episode about how Cam Coleman has kind of suffered from the Jackson Arnold experiment, the Hugh Freeze experiment, and it's been a bit of not a lost year because Cam Coleman still has 682 yards and 5 touchdowns, and that again is not to be sniffed at. It's decent production, but he has the traits to be so much more and so much utilized so much better than Auburn have. Now we'll see what rivalry weekend brings, and then if Auburn are in a bowl game, we'll see how he gets on there. That's kind of a let loose opportunity, I guess. But this guy's huge. He's physical, huge catch radius, great hands. He's got a really strong vertical leap. He played basketball at high school, which I know is not that uncommon for these elite wide receiver prospects, but this guy played a really physical brand of basketball in a non-contact sport, which I find hilarious. And he's just got everything you need to be a top NFL wide receiver. he's a red zone monster, and he's also got that, like, the athleticism and the acceleration that you wouldn't expect of someone who's like 200 pounds, 6'3". This guy's got it all. Dare I say, without wishing to stir and start some rumors, I doubt he's listening to our podcast, but would the transfer portal do him a favor?
Yes. I would. Yeah. He's one that really stands out to me. Whenever you guys were talking about it 2 weeks ago, I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Cam Coleman's going to be top of that list for get me out of here.
Yeah. Phil, happy with how high Coleman's gone?
Yeah, absolutely. He was the best player on my board. I had him at the 104, so I'm delighted for him to go there. I think he's got to look at the portal, and again, Hugh Freeze or no Hugh Freeze, Jackson Arnold or no Jackson Arnold. He's now got Deuce Knight, who looks incredibly talented yet incredibly raw as a freshman. I think I tweeted on Sunday that despite the 4 rushing touchdowns in the first half, Cam Coleman had only had 1 target. And then with that, he brought in that ridiculous one-handed touchdown grab, another ridiculous one-handed touchdown grab. He did finish the game with 5 receptions for 65 yards, but he needs the opportunity to be dominant in his junior season. And I just wonder whether the skill set of Deuce Knight is and that development curve that he's going to be on is going to allow him to do that. I still think the portal will be the best thing for him moving forward.
Nice. Right, Phil, move us on. Who is your next pick?
Yeah, so Clemson sucked this year. Let's tell it how it is. Clemson were one of the biggest disappointments in the kind of national college football picture. We like their receivers, all right? And the one guy who hasn't sucked for me amongst all the suckiness that has been Clemson this year has been Bryant Wesco. Yeah. He has developed into so much more than the guy that just ran 9 routes in his freshman season. He is the guy that Cade Klubnik looked to find in the biggest moments of their season. And he's showing savvier route running. He is fantastic at finding space in between zones. Run after the catch is a specialty. Once he hits that open grass, you're not going to catch him. I think he's going to be a home run threat at the next level. Like I say, in a season that Clemson fans will want to forget, Wesco has kind of been the one shining light for me and is firmly the best of the next crop.
Yeah, I like it. 17.3 yards per reception is pretty decent for an offense that we expected so much from Clemson, and they haven't delivered. We'll maybe get on to the guy that is breaking my heart week in, week out in TJ Moore later. But Mags, how do you feel about Brian Wesco this high? How do you feel about him as a prospect? How do you feel about Clemson as an offense?
Yeah, he was one that was on my list as well. I've got, like, the notes I've got on him is like, he's, apart from one of the last notes I had on him, which was just the words terrible drop. We'll ignore that. I put on here that he's actually really good at disguising the routes that he's running. So whenever I'm seeing like little replays of it, you don't really know where he's going to go, which is really nice. Not my favorite, full disclosure, not my favorite receiver at Clemson to watch. Antonio Williams, I think, is fantastic to watch. But he's declaring 2026, we think, right? Yeah. Okay.
So he has to.
Yeah. Okay. So Antonio Williams is my favorite, but Wesco's definitely got a hell of a lot of potential. And I think whenever Williams is out the door, he should be a lot better if they get someone, a little bit better to throw the ball and maybe someone to coach things up a little bit better. That would be nice. So I don't hate the pick as well. That's another name off my list. So again, I feel like you're mentioning the players on my list. I'm like, I don't suck at this. This is good.
You're happy, but you're also sad because you've got to pick somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. And I'm torn between 2 guys now. I can't decide. It's between my heart and my head. I'm between my heart and my head here. 2 running backs.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go with my heart here, not my head. I'll not reveal what my head says in case I can get him later as well. I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to go with the most enjoyable player to watch in college football right now, and that is Isaac Brown out of Louisville, who is an absolute demon. This guy I cannot get enough of. He has proper game-breaking speed. Reminds me in so many ways of Devon Achan, who is an absolute weapon for Dynasty Fantasy Football. I think Isaac Brown could be the next level of that. If he comes in and gets in a good offense in an NFL team, we could see huge numbers for him, like we see with Achan, like we see with Gibbs, like we see with these players that you just can't catch. If you get him in space, no one's going to catch him. And I think Isaac Brown's one of them. This could be a huge reach. I don't know. But I'm just happy to get my guy here. And Isaac Brown, I'm convinced, will be a proper asset for an NFL team in 2027.
Well, Phil, you posted something out on X the other week about Isaac Brown after his game against... I can't remember. But he has we are not coming through for each other this evening, but that's fine. Isaac Brown has kind of come back from injury with a vengeance, ripping off some big runs, some lightning quick breaks to the outside. He's got really good lateral agility. I really like Isaac Brown, but Phil loves him even more than I do.
It was the BC game, wasn't it? It was the game against Boston
College,
when he went for over 200 yards on 14 carries. It was It was a phenomenal display. And then, ironically, he's banged up again. So he got the ball rolling and had two fantastic games in back-to-back weeks. In fact, 3 games, because he did well against Miami as well. And then he's out injured again. So I think this is my concern with Isaac Brown. I love the skill set, but when you've got that more diminutive frame, whether he can handle the workload is the question. And I suppose I love the comp to Devon Achan. The difference is if you look at the kind of squat build behind Achan, and that kind of low, kind of thick center of gravity, that's where the similarity stops. Brown needs to kind of put that good weight on in order to handle the demands, I think. But yeah, look, that part of the beauty of Devy is going with your heart. And when you've got your guy backing it to the full, I can't wait to know what your head would have said. Let's see who gets him. But yeah, look, he's an exciting pick, and health depending, there is a role for a guy like that in the NFL, of course, because you can't beat speed.
That's true.
He was going to come back around to me, wasn't he? I should have went with my head.
He was going
to. Yes, he was. How high, Phil? How high do you have Isaac Brown just in your running back rankings of this mock draft?
Let me do my homework.
Well, while you do that,
That's too much scrolling.
I have Hardy as my I have Isaac Brown as my third running back that I would take in this class. All of them are very close together, though, in that draft.
Well, he's my fourth, and for what it's worth, he missed the 2-round cut.
Oh, wow!
Now that is a change because he went in our mock draft a few months ago in the 2nd round to Phil. So things are changing, things are sliding for Isaac Brown. But there we go. Our first running back is off the board. We're going back to the wide receiver well, and this is a guy who, because it's my pick, is obviously going to be a wide receiver, but who I actually have as the 5th highest rated player in this available crop of players, and that's Decorian Moore. This guy is, as a freshman, taken to the water like a duck, like a true duck out in Oregon, and there's been no concerns about him settling into college football at a top tier program. He's gone to Oregon. He's gone to Dan Lanning. He's in the perfect place to develop, but he already had some of those key traits that you'd love to see from a wide receiver coming into college. The fact that he's kind of established himself in an offense that actually likes to spread the ball around a lot is a really good sign. And I think he's going to be the guy in Oregon for the next 2.5 years. He's going to be absolutely fine. So a slam dunk pick for me here.
Love it. Can't argue with that at all. He is a future wide receiver 1, no doubt about it. He's got the profile. He has flashed in times as a freshman. He breaks all the wide receiver 0 metrics. or year 1 0 metrics. So yeah, wheels up. He's going to improve year in, year out, and yeah, solid pick.
Excellent. Right, Phil, you're up next.
Yeah. So Mags, this is the guy for me that should have been your head pick. He's the only running back I've got before the 209 on my board. He is a freshman at Ohio State, and it's Bo Jackson.
Ah, you scumbag.
Bo Jackson is every bit better than advertised. Like when we did our freshman reviews in the off season, we kind of had him in the tier below the highest kind of ranked guys in terms of where the recruiting classes had them. Looking back at my notes that I wrote then, I wrote that he's a north-south bruiser. Well, he's already showed us he's more than that. He runs with purpose. He doesn't waste any kind of movement in the backfield. Thrives in gap scheme runs where he can build momentum, which I think we're seeing week in, week out at the moment. His lateral movement is better than I thought it was. His reading of the offensive line and what gaps are opening for him is better than I thought it was based on his high school tape. And for me, we've been relatively down on the kind of Devy running back landscape following the fantastic class we got in last year's Dynasty drafts. Bo Jackson for me is the standout shining light who profiles to be, dare I say, the next one we talk about in that Jeremiah Love breath. The way we're talking about him now is the way we'll be talking about Bo Jackson in a couple of years' time, because he's going to dominate. And yeah, he's every. I'm happy to admit I didn't have my evaluation of him right coming in. I'm annoyed that I've missed so many shares and went towards other freshman running backs. But hey, he deserves to be in this first round shout now.
Yes, he most certainly does. And if you did listen to our running back preview show, you wouldn't even know that Phil didn't like him, because I was waxing lyrical about this guy, and I'm so happy that he has come good. This guy's contact balance is incredible. And when Ohio State kind of needed somebody to step up, we all thought that James Peoples was going to be the main running back this year, and it just hasn't materialized. Well, you'll be delighted to know he had a great game on Saturday against Rutgers, that elite running defense. But yeah, Bo Jackson, physical frame, great contact balance, good lateral agility, like you say. I really love this guy, and he's the top running back on my board as well. Again, it's a bit early for me to take a running back, but I'm really, really disappointed that he's not on my team in this mock.
We did have a little chat about Malachi Toney earlier, and how he could potentially get faster. And this is maybe one that you boys are more able to answer than I am. Do you notice that? Because the only note I've got, again, the notes I have on Bo Jackson are waxing lyrical about, his vision and his contact balance. But the one note that keeps coming up is long speed's not good. Like, he gets caught quite quickly all the time. But is that something you would expect to develop as he gets older? Do you see that happen more often than not? Or do players kind of stay and that the same kind of speed a lot of the time?
I really wonder whether actually that's not going to be Bo Jackson's role. You look at the other freshman, Isaiah West, who has kind of come through and obviously we can't compare these guys directly, but last season Ohio State had Quinton Judkins and Trevion Henderson, and you probably would say the same thing about Quinton. Like, he doesn't have the top end breakaway speed. You saw in the national championship game, he kind of broke a run for 75 yards, but he got caught. And but I think that's okay. I think the long speed isn't necessarily what the NFL is after. It's the burst and acceleration, when combined with the vision to see the gap and hit the gap, that is going to get him drafted. Now, we're a long way away from that. So yes, there's the possibility that he develops. He works on his diet, he works on his fitness routine, and manages to increase his speed. He's not going to be a 4.4 guy, but you don't need to be a late first round NFL running back.
If anything, is it not like, what's the word? Positive regression, negative regression? I'm not sure. Basically, the faster you run, the worst player you end up being. Like there is like a direct, like the faster you run in the combine in the 40, the less chance you have of being an NFL star. It's kind of weird. Most of the fastest guys are all busts.
Yeah, it can happen. How many of those guys have we drafted? Who's the guy that went to the Bengals that we all
Ross,
had?
isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you end up with the Bengals, didn't they?
So there we are. Okay, it is my turn to pick, and it is finally time for me to swivel away from wide receiver, and I am going to take a quarterback that we believe will be in the 2027 class. Now, this guy is 2026 eligible. It's Dante Moore, the quarterback at Oregon, who transferred in from UCLA and then sat a year. Yes, Max?
Why is it not my turn?
Oh, that's a really good question. Because I didn't want it to be your turn, and you are going to have to wait.
No, please go ahead, and you can take Dante Moore, because like I said, I lean towards Oregon, so I'll let you wax lyrical about Dante Moore. He was going to be potentially my pick. I was torn between two guys here as well. So go ahead, you go.
Okay.
You go with Dante.
Well, it sounds like I've made the decision for you, and Fantrax made that decision for me. Well, never miss an opportunity to slag off Fantrax. So thank you, Fantrax, for messing up the draft order. Dante Moore, we believe that there are rumors that he might declare for 2026, or it's more that there are rumors that NFL teams are interested in him. But this guy had a year's starting experience at UCLA in an offense that was garbage, where he kind of tried to stay alive, and maybe he learned by stepping on hot coals a little bit, but I think more flaws were exposed than lessons learned, to be honest. Went and sat behind Dylan Gabriel at Oregon and bided his time to have the starting job this season, and it's been really impressive. I think we spent a lot of time thinking about what we want to see from college quarterbacks in particular, in order to be happy with their progression and their development and their readiness for the NFL. And I feel like Dante Moore is taking those steps slowly but surely. He's making really good decisions behind the line. He is distributing the ball well. He's like he's not locked on to his number one target, to Corian Moore. He is making his reads properly, and he's doing everything that Dan Lanning and that Oregon offense are asking him to do. Now he's in a brilliant scheme, and so we need to see how he develops his footwork, because he's not really been asked to dance around in the pocket or escape the pocket too much. But you can't criticize him for what you haven't seen. Almost like we'd love to see it, but he hasn't needed to put it on tape yet. So I really like Dante Moore, the signs that we're seeing, and this is the only guy, the only quarterback that I would have taken in the first round. I have him higher than Julian Sayin, which maybe says something about my assessment of Sayin as a Buckeyes fan.
Yeah, he's one. Yeah, I was definitely going to go for Moore. I think at some stage, I'm not sure exactly at this pick, but he was definitely on my radar. I think he's someone that looks like he could, like you're saying, he looks like he's definitely going to go back. Obviously, if we're taking him in this draft, I think that would be the best decision, because I feel like there's little bits here and there. You're like, okay, tighten this up, and the fact that he did sit behind Dylan Gabriel, like you said, by this time, I'm happy, because I think it's now becoming kind of consensus that actually we kind of want these guys to stay in college for that extra year if they can. So I'd be delighted to see more stay.
Easy, Jack. So obviously, being a Buckeye, when you watch him, like he throws a beautiful ball. Like he for me, he's the best passer in college football, pure passer. Does he give you CJ Stroud vibes?
Oh, I've not really considered that comparison. College CJ Stroud or NFL CJ Stroud?
So obviously, the reason I say it is, one, there wasn't a throw that CJ Stroud couldn't make. But two, there were questions about the athleticism. And obviously, until that amazing rushing performance against Georgia, that was the criticism that was lobbied at CJ Stroud. Like, he is athletic. It looks to me like there's enough athleticism, but he chooses to find the opportunity to pass rather than run at any given opportunity. And it just gives me the CJ Stroud vibes. Yeah,
I mean, potentially, I think the good thing is he's almost having that CJ Stroud season that Stroud had in his last year of college. And so if we're going to get another year of Dante Moore in college, we'll hopefully see some of that progression. We'll see, he does look to pass first, but he's not, putting up a Heisman worthy season of passing. I was like, he's not throwing at all costs. He's not bailing out of designed runs and throwing it on every run pass option.
But they've definitely, with the injuries to Evan Stewart, with the injuries to Gary Bryant, with the fact that Corian Moore's not played now for 3 games in a row, they've definitely, whether by plan or by adapt to survive, turned into a more of a rushing team, with Noah Whittington putting up a solid line, with De'Aaron Hill and Jordan Davison, like both 2 outstanding freshmen. So yeah, it almost feels as though they've not had to rely on DJ Moore, Dante Moore, rather than anything that he can't do.
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm excited for him to have another season in college. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. I mean, Dan Lanning is going to be there, but whether Oregon retain their offensive coordinator, whose name is escaping me. Will Stein, that's it. Who's he's on the lips of every opening going, especially NFL offensive coordinator openings that might become available. Whether he's ready to make that step or whether he wants a head coaching job, we'll see. But it'll be really interesting to see what else changes around Oregon. But yeah, we'll see how he's getting on. Right, we are running long for time. So Phil, let's move on. You've got the next pick. Mags has been absolutely booted to the back of this round of 3 picks.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll make this one nice and quick because this is all relying on my preseason evaluation of him as an incoming freshman, because he has spent the vast majority of the year banged up, and I am just going on traits and the brief flashes we've seen, because he's only actually played in 2 games this year. I'm going Dallas Wilson at Florida. Those 2 appearances, he managed to rock up 12 receptions across those 2 games and multiple touchdowns. He burst onto the scene in a big way in Florida's spring game, and we warned you at the time, don't buy too much into the spring game. And then that hype carried on building all summer. And then week 1, he was injured. And he finally got his game, I think it was week 6, and he burst onto the scene big time. So in 2 games, he's had 12 receptions, 174 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He is physically imposing, 6'3", 205 pounds as a freshman. He's able to box out defenders and make tough catches. He's a kind of possession plus guy, rather than someone who wins with twitch and separation. But he's quick enough already. I'm just delighted with the flashes that we've seen in that such limited sample size, and I'm really excited to see where it goes from there.
I agree. Max, what have you seen from Dallas Wilson?
Nothing. I gotta be honest. I gotta absolutely I don't know too much about the guys coming out from high school. That's not a level of Devy that I've really managed to embrace so far. So a lot of what I see is what they're doing as freshmen, and kind of like Phil said, I ain't seen much, but I'm excited now.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one to watch. I didn't realize he was 6'3". That is, that surprises me a little bit. He doesn't play necessarily that big, but I don't think that is a criticism. It's just yet to be. Maybe he's yet to unlock it, or I'm yet to see him unlock that. But like you say, very, very few snaps on tape at Florida. Okay, Mags, who's your pick? Has your guy gone? Who you're weighing up with Dante Moore here?
Yeah, there was Bo Jackson was I knew Bo Jackson was the pick. I'd done at least a little research, and I'd seen he was way up there in what should be your Devy ranks. But I thought, I'm going to go with the heart with Isaac Brown. So let me go back to one. I'm pretty sure there's not going to be too much argument with this based on what I've seen. Wide receiver, absolutely electric this year. The only mistake I might be making is if he is eligible this year. I don't think so. Show me Mario Craver. Can I get some Mario Craver here, please? I've absolutely loved what I've seen from him this year. again, looking through the notes that I've got on Mario Craver in week 3, he's gone over 200 yards, which is always, quite spectacular. He's showing up everywhere on the field, and then it's just speed, electric. I've loved what I've seen from Mario Craver. Not sure if he's consensus around this level for Devy, but for me, getting a guy here that I like watching so much, I'm delighted to get him at the back end of the first. Is this where you would expect Craver to be going, or am I reaching again, boys?
Well, I'd say that Craver has kind of come out of relative unknown this season, as have, to be honest, as have all the Texas A&M wide receivers. Not because they're not talented, but because I did not really see this form of offense coming from the Aggies. Mario Craver is probably undrafted in nearly all Devy leagues that Phil and I are in, and he's certainly been fun to watch, certainly interesting, but one that probably wouldn't go this high. He's not ranked in my top 24 for this mock draft. Phil, what do you think about Craver?
Is he that good, or is he the byproduct of a very efficient offense at the moment?
Yeah.
Look, there's absolutely no denying what he's done on that Texas A&M offense this year. He is the perfect 1-2 punch with KC Concepcion. What translatability there is to the next level that sets him apart from other good college receivers, I'll be honest, I'm not too sure. But again, sometimes you've just got to take your hunch. You've got to trust your scouting and trust what you've seen and be the one that can flex on people later on.
Yes.
Yeah. And Craver is catching everything that comes his way, and he is creating separation. Whether that translates to the NFL, that's what we need to analyze. Is he creating separation through his release package and through his route running and through his physical traits, or is it a scheme-based separation? That's the question mark I have over Craver. But he's certainly catching everything, and he is getting separation. So we're going to be able to see a lot more of him because he's going to have some serious highlight packages.
And that is so difficult, right? But I find that maybe the trickiest thing to do is working out how do you translate, like, what is scheme, what is ability. Like that is a task that, I mean, people who get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars can struggle to do. So I mean, we're going to find it tough too, I think. So I think I'm back on the board. Do I get this third round reversal? I'll just take a big bruising beast of a running back in Ahmad Hardy here. How about that? We'll go for him. He looks like, sometimes just looks like absolute Superman. I have been fooled before by the Missouri offensive line, though. They've got me a few times before with Missouri running backs and them not doing too well. Shout out Cody Schrader, but I don't think this is going to be another case of a Cody Schrader. I'm not wrong again. Surely Ahmad Hardy is good, and I'm not just being fooled again. Is that right?
Yeah, I agree. He's good. He's good. I have Ahmad Hardy as my running back 2 in this class after Bo Jackson in this draft eligible class. The production at UL Monroe was insane and was great. And then to replicate that and take the step up to not just a power conference, to the SEC at Missouri, to have so far on the season 214 carries, so he's definitely the workhorse back there. 1,403 yards and 15 touchdowns. That's insane. That is absolutely fantastic in an offense where Bo Pribula is a running quarterback as well. So he's having to share running snaps with the quarterback. So absolutely love him. Power back, yards after contact. This guy is a bruiser, like you say, Mags.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love the idea of why run round someone when you can run over them, which is Ahmad Hardy all over. He's been great to watch. He has been really, really good fun to watch. I love that pick. Right. Give me Bryce Underwood.
Oh,
correct choice.
So now's the time, right? If you want a good idea of where Bryce Underwood is at the moment, he is bang on track to be everything we expected him to be. Their offense, if you look at Michigan's offense is limited, but that is in no way down to him. They have 2 wide receivers who basically are their wide receiver room. There's no depth behind Andrew Marsh, and I can't even remember the guy that plays the other side. Where's number 1? Boundary guy, big prototypical X, and I can't think of his name. But outside of that, they brought in Justice Haynes to be his safety valve, and that was going swimmingly until Justice Haynes got banged up. But Bryce Underwood has demonstrated the flashes. The arm is an absolute cannon when he lets it go. Yeah. He's got that mobility. He's got that size. He's got that frame. I would love to see them take the stabilizers off a little bit. It feels like he's got, like, I think the Americans say he's got the training wheels on. It does feel like they're kind of running the offense in a very safe shell to protect him from some things. But he's got the pedigree. He's got the size. He's got the speed. He's flashed the arm talent. Now's the time to let him turn loose and really see him kick on in that second year. But right now, I would say he's absolutely on track.
Yeah, I agree. I've written here that Underwood is maturing week by week in an offense that is already ahead of schedule. I think we didn't expect the Michigan offense to be as productive as it has been, and well, productive, maybe not the word, but look as good as it has done. And I didn't expect Underwood even to look as good as this so far. There's definitely been some jitters. He's a freshman. He looks like a freshman at times, but you can see the raw power on his arm, the touch on some of his throws, the like leading his receivers open. I don't like praising Michigan, so this is high praise. He's got lots of time to refine a lot of those skills, and I think that will come. I think, like what you said really sums it up, Phil. As Michigan go into next season, you can take those training wheels off, and I think we'll see a more confident, a more like Bryce Underwood is owning this offense next season. I think it feels like Sharon Moore owns this offense at the moment, and you kind of want to see your quarterback step into the leadership role in year two. Sorry.
Yeah, I have 3 separate notes on Bryce Underwood, and I don't think I've got this for any other quarterback. But I've got 3 separate notes from like weeks and weeks apart from each other, just saying he throws a lovely spiral. So he must have a really beautiful spiral on him for me to notice that 3 separate times. So yeah, good for him. He's playing really well.
Fabulous. This will be super interesting to see where certain other quarterbacks fit into this class. But I'm going to take the best friend of one of those quarterbacks that has kind of slid, and that is Ryan Wingo out of Texas. That's who I'm taking at this 203 pick. I think he's clearly the best wide receiver in a talented Texas wide receiver room. How's he doing this season? 46 receptions, 736 yards, and 6 touchdowns. As Texas have improved, it's not really a surprise that in lockstep with that, so has Ryan Wingo's production. As Arch Manning has grown and got better and read the defenses well, he's found Ryan Wingo more and more, and his targets are increasing, his yards are increasing, he's finding the end zone. I think he's a super reliable receiver, really good hands and blazing speed. I think Ryan Wingo, could be arguably a first round pick in this draft. So to get him at 203, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad, because I know objectively everything you've said is right. And I have watched Texas, and I've watched that relationship with Arch Manning. I've watched that kind of blossom as the season's gone on. I can't shake. I just can't. Like, I cannot get over a previous bias with him. I didn't like his route running coming into his freshman year, and I can't get over it. Like, there's just an inset bias. Like, I can acknowledge everything you've said, but until he comes and confronts me about it, I can't bring myself to like him. It's stupid. It's just a hump that I can't get past.
We'll see what year 3 brings. Then I guess I can't force that on you, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see more from Ryan Wingo. I got to be honest. He was someone I was excited. Like, I think we we're all excited to see this Texas offense this year, and it's not quite, worked out as glowingly as we maybe thought. So I'm waiting to see more of Ryan Wingo. Maybe that second year linking up with Arch Manning will really make the difference for him. Yeah, more to come on him. But again, he's a name that I might be wrong, but you would have expected to see a lot higher in this list, right? This time last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Right, Phil, who's next up for you?
So let's take a guy where I am trusting freshman tape, and I'm putting a little bit of trust in you because this year it has massively flattered to deceive. Give me TJ Moore. I'm going to take the talent over the production and the situation this year because right now that seems like a value play at the 2-4. Previously, you would have been talking probably between that 9 and 12 range in the first. So to get him here still feels like absolute value, knowing that the talent's there. And look, if we don't see the progression that we want to see, and I've got no reason to suggest we wouldn't, but if we don't, he's going to be one you can still get out on name value if you need to.
Yeah, he's such a smooth operator. I don't really know what's going on this season. Like, this isn't all on the rest of the Clemson offense. TJ Moore is a guy that I've made it absolutely no secret that I absolutely adore. I think he's got a super high ceiling in the NFL, and he's so much fun to watch. And he's just, everything is so smooth. His release, his route running, the way that he catches the ball outside of his body, and the threat after the catch. I love it, but he's not put it all together. This year's definitely been a regression from his freshman season, and I'm still super high and super confident in him. We'll see what on earth happens at Clemson next season.
Yeah, this is where I think you boys are at like a deeper level of the Devy. That's why I wanted to come on to kind of hear your thoughts. I'm sort of still new to Devy, still new to the game, and having that sort of baseline kind of trust in players, like a guy like TJ Moore. Like, to me, watching TJ Moore this season and watching a guy like Mario Craver, who you guys have both said wasn't really on your board. You watch them both, there's no doubt in my mind that Mario Craver is a better player than TJ Moore, just looking at this year. But it's trying to take that whole holistic view and think, actually, you go back to high school, you think of the potential, you think about the recruiting and the scouting, and then you might see TJ Moore is actually the better prospect, despite what we've seen there. You guys still think there's much more to come from TJ Moore compared to Craver, who might be at his peak, right? Is that about right?
Nailed it. That's exactly what it is. Like, Mario Craver will be a very, very good college wide receiver. TJ Moore has the potential to be a very, very, very good NFL receiver. I think that therein lies the difference. And a little bit of it, when you look at the recruiting, like guys bust the recruiting myths all the time, but it tends to be the guys that are playing high school ball on the biggest stages in the biggest states the biggest difference tends to be speed. Clocked and verified speeds in high school can be the difference in a star rating. But TJ Moore, Jack's right, the fluidity in everything he does is outstanding and will translate to the next level.
Yes. This is your buy window for TJ Moore. I'm nothing this season is giving me evidence for that, but everything from his freshman season is telling me that this is your buy window for TJ Moore. Okay, we're going to move into, I can't say into a quarterback run because I don't know what you guys are going to do, but I am going to take a guy that previously I would have had in the first round, and probably the only quarterback I'd have taken in the first round. That's Lenore Sellers. In fact, he was the only quarterback I took in the first round of our preseason mock draft. And Lenore Sellers still has a sky high ceiling. and I love this guy. The problem is, just like TJ Moore, we are looking for the same things we said in our preseason show from him. We are looking to see, can he develop those NFL level passes? Can he throw with touch? Can he layer his throws? And we just haven't seen anywhere near enough of that. And South Carolina they have really failed to reach the heights that they set themselves. You know, they were saying that we are going to be a college football playoff contender this season, and they have got nowhere near that. And the wide receivers haven't stepped up around him. The offensive line has regressed. So there's a lot. There you go. There are your excuses for Lenora Sellers. But equally, he has not shown, even in throws that he's making, that he has made a step up to throw with touch, to throw those NFL level passes. There's still a lot of good college throws, but not NFL throws. So I have no idea there are no rumors really that Sellers is going to transfer that I've heard. Phil maybe is starting the one to Miami, but I would love to see it. I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. And his ceiling's so high that in the middle of the second round, you're playing with profit, in my opinion. Or as Phil would say, he's using somebody else's second round pick that he acquired in a trade, and that's what he's spending this one on.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing for me is there's a range of outcomes still that is so wild from floor to ceiling. You're looking at a fantasy output potentially to rival Jalen Hurts. Now you can talk about Jalen Hurts' limited ability as an actual NFL quarterback, but in terms of fantasy production, you cannot knock anything he's done. All the way to Anthony Richardson and your Jalen Milroe sitting somewhere in between. And right now, I still think, based on the development I've seen, I'm willing to let someone else take that risk personally. I want, if I'm going to take a quarterback there, I'm not playing for, well, actually, no, I tell a lie. I suppose if you're getting him at the 2-5, you can afford to swing for the ceiling. But I feel like that is what it is still. I've not seen enough to give me any conviction that my second round Devy pick's going to land there.
Yeah. With Sellers, it's one again I was super excited to watch this year. He's just, I don't think he will transfer. I'd like to see him on another team. I really would. I don't think he will, but I would love to see him on a team where he doesn't feel like he needs to put on the cape and be Superman. Like, I want to see Lenore Sellers be Clark Kent. Like, just go out there and be yourself. Don't worry about having to put on the cape. That would be really nice to see, because I think he's just trying too much and it's all going wrong.
Yeah. Max, it's you.
I'm going to play a bit of game theory here, because, again, this is probably a reach at this pick, but I think I can turn this draft pick into a profit whenever this player is drafted. I'm taking Arch Manning here, because the second this kid hits the NFL, people are going to freak out. And I just know that. I don't care how he plays. People are going to want Arch Manning on their dynasty teams, their Devy squads, whenever he comes out into the NFL. I think me paying the second round pick, I can easily make a profit on it in the future. I don't know what he's going to look like. Do you know what? I actually don't think he's been as bad as people are saying. I think because he's Arch Manning, people are giving him a really bad time. He's been fine. He's not been the best quarterback in college football this year. He's not been the worst quarterback in college football, but it is his first year starting. I trust that he has the smarts to really up his game. It's super underrated feet. I think his footwork is really quite nice. He rushes around a little bit better than I expected. I think he could take a big step up next year. It'd be really nice to see. And if I'm getting them in the second round here, 2-6, I think I could make a profit from that, boys. Even if he has another year next year, just like this.
This is a sweet spot for him. He was the next player on my board. He is, like, people won't let you believe that he's got better and better and better as the years gone on. Everyone was literally ready to announce him as the second coming of Christ before he'd played an actual snap. And then obviously the Ohio State game with the entire world watching happened. I don't think we realised at the time just how legit this Ohio State defense was. The talk in week 1 was that they'd lost so much talent to the NFL and it was a new unit, this, that, and the other. This might be the best defense since, goodness, insert Alabama from the mid-teens defense here, or Georgia's kind of three-peat winning defenses, or three-peat kind of trialing defenses. This unit is legit, and they gave Arch Manning, let's say how it is, first ever college start as the starter, as the kind of bona fide starter rather than just as injury relief. They gave him fits, and it wouldn't surprise me over the next 3 or 4 weeks if he doubted every look he saw and every disguised pressure. To coin the kind of old Sam Darnold phrase, he would have been seeing ghosts. And it's taken time for him to get over, but he's got back to doing what he does best, extending plays within the pocket with that kind of good mobility. Is definitely not like his uncles in that sense. And, don't look now, but he's starting to look okay. And when the world catches up, when it's cool to not hate Arch Manning anymore, there's going to be a few people deleting tweets and posts that they've put, bashing him and calling him a bust because he isn't. This is a great spot to get him.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. This is profit making. Yeah, this is what I mean by the quarterback run. There's a few quarterbacks here that can, even if you have no intention of taking them to your dynasty roster, the NFL side of your Devy league, this is a guy that you can make a profit on. His name will carry his value no matter what. But regardless of his name, I think, like Phil said, we've seen signs of progression. Some of those things that we want to see from Lenore Sellers, from Bryce Underwood as he matures, from Dante Moore. I think we're seeing that. We're seeing good progression from Arch Manning. He had a rough start. Things are looking up for him on the field, and he seems to have such a level head and such a good team around him, which is not surprising. That his future for now is you're still going to make a profit, Devy wise, if you draft him in the middle of the second round. But you could argue that you could make a profit still if you took him at the. Well, there's no way I'm taking him over Jeremiah Smith, but you could take him at the 102 and still make some profit on this pick. So yeah, you're all good. You're all good there. Right, Phil, take us to 207.
Yeah, I'm going to keep with the quarterback theme, and I'm going to take a guy I don't think we've ever talked about on this show, but the more I watch him, the more I genuinely think this guy has got NFL skill set written all over him. That's Notre Dame quarterback CJ Carr. Obviously, first-year player, and he's kind of taken that starting job. And again, he's been trusted to run the offense through his running backs at the moment. But outside of being able to rely on Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, he is starting to string together a tape that is full of impressive catches, impressive throws. And I am just, at this point, I feel like the upside is so much greater because I feel like there's more translatability in his game than there is perhaps in the absolute high-low floor ceiling of someone like Lenore Sellers. I just feel like this is a smart player now that could be much, much higher in a year's time.
Yeah, CJ Carr is someone who I've heard quite a lot of buzz about through the Campus to Canton team. They've kind of been hiring him for a long time, but not caught a lot of with my eyes. Notre Dame highlight packages tend to be solely and exclusively Jeremiah Love or occasionally Jadarian Price, who can be mistaken for Jeremiah Love. He's that good. So someone that I want to watch more of, and I will have to take your word for it, Phil. So he's not on my board, but not because I dislike him, because I have not caught enough of him.
Yeah, again, I end up, I think, from basically just wanting to focus on Jeremiah Love and Price as well, that I've almost ended up being like, Oh yeah, like Carr plays. Like you almost forget about him. He's kind of like that forgotten man, and it could be whenever Love clears out. Like he has made a couple of nice throws, especially to his Reardon, the tight end. I've noticed they've got quite a nice little link up there. So he's someone I need to pay attention to. The notes I've got on appear to be he's got exceptionally nice deep ball. That's really the extent of what I've got so far. So I should definitely pay more attention to Carr.
I think Notre Dame are in a really strong position as well for Carr to kind of grow and flourish. I feel like they've done a great job recruiting. They've rebuilt that offensive line. They lost a lot of guys to the NFL draft. They've rebuilt it pretty well, and they've retained a couple of receivers that made a splash in the playoffs and could have gone elsewhere. I think Notre Dame are headed in a really good direction. That loss to Miami aside, they've had a really strong season, and they've not had one of their, we'll lose to Northern Illinois mishaps this season. So that is on the bingo card most seasons actually at the moment. But I think CJ Carr's in a really good position to grow and flourish without too much pressure. I think that's probably fair.
Without a doubt.
Fabulous. Well, we're going to end the quarterback run there, and I'm going to take Vernell Brown, the other freshman wide receiver at Florida. This is a guy who started the season really fun, really exciting to watch. A guy that kind of took advantage of Dallas Wilson being injured and Eugene Wilson maybe being injured as well, or at least banged up and not fully fit and healthy. So unfortunately then got injured himself and has missed quite a few games. He came back last week, I believe, but it's been really fun to watch Vernell Brown, and it felt a bit like getting the runner-up prize in most drafts where I ended up with Vernell Brown instead of Dallas Wilson because of that hype of the spring games that Phil mentioned earlier. But it certainly didn't feel like a runner-up prize at the week 2, week 3 stage of this season. And so, for a freshman, 36 catches, 487 yards, that's really exciting, really good, really promising start in he's only played 6 games maximum. Unfortunately, no touchdowns, and I think that's probably capping the buzz around Vernell Brown. He's had 2 touchdowns ruled out for penalties on his offensive line for holding. So, close, but no cigar for Vernell Brown in terms of touchdowns. But I'm really excited by what he's shown, the promise he's shown, and he's someone that we've still got lots to see from. And I think we should be as excited about Vernell Brown as we are about Dallas Wilson.
Yeah, he's one I'm looking forward to seeing more of.
Fab. Max, move us on. 209.
There's a player I really want to take here, but I'm like, I've not seen enough of, but I do think that he is super talented. I just hate the situation that he's in. And then there's another one who I'm not sure if he's any good or not, or just a lot of fun to watch. So I'm torn between the two. Why don't I take the one guy that I think is just a hell of a lot of fun to watch? Because that's what I did in the first one with Isaac Brown. So I'm going to give me DeMond Williams out of Washington. That guy, wow, that is a hell of a lot of fun. And obviously you see him and immediately you see the Kyler Murray-esque, I'm running for my life kind of scrambling, not just I'm going to scramble here and get out here. It's like, no, I really can't get hit because it's going to end very, very badly for me if I do. I think he's so much fun to watch. He is a lot safer with the ball than you would assume looking at the way he plays. Like he's very gung-ho, but he's also somehow not really turning the ball over that much. So that's a great combo if you ask me. He's got those rush yards that are just obviously just gold for fantasy football points. I don't know how he's going to develop. I'm not really sure what the future holds. I just know Washington can't miss football right now because of Williams, because of Denzel Boston, Joe Tacoma, all these guys there. It's a really fun team to watch, and Williams is the main reason behind that. So I'll take another guy I like here. I don't know what his Devy ranking is like anywhere. I just like him, boys, so I'm taking him.
Yeah, no issues with that. I think realistically, you're at the point of the draft where your flavor and what you like makes the rankings fluctuate, and that's why it's so hard to get ADP for Devy in comparison to like the kind of dynasty drafts and things like that. Damon Williams, you're right, is so much fun, and his potential at the next level because of that rushing ability is unbelievable. You're right. He's also a much better passer of the ball than he gets credit for. I would have been happy with him anywhere over the next 8 picks, anywhere in there, wherever you'd have said, "Yeah, this is the point to take him." No issues there.
Yeah, I agree. And this weekend we saw him do it without Denzel Boston, which I think was something actually not that I wanted Denzel Boston to miss a game, but to see him still perform without his number one target was really encouraging. Really encouraging. Okay, Phil, your final pick of this 2-round mock draft.
Yeah, I'm going to be an Alabama homer, and I'm going to take my guy, Lottie Brooks. Obviously, not a particularly highly recruited guy, 3-star recruit. And at 5'10", 175 pounds, like you're looking at the build and going, right, okay, well, what is his kind of projection? I said that he was like Jalen Waddle light, and he needed using in Alabama's offense the way that Jalen Waddle was used as a freshman, maybe predominantly on special teams as a kick returner and to add that kind of touch of magic. Well, he's been thrust into the limelight and has become an integral part of that kind of wide receiver room. I've described their wide receiver room this year as a basketball team in terms of each guy doing a different job and playing a different role. And he has really come into his own as a dependable target guy. I thought he was going to be much more gadget, bubble screens, quick slants, that type of thing. Get the ball in his hands on jet sweeps this year. But no, he's really proving to be a solid set of hands. He's dynamic enough to flip the field from any time he gets the ball. But it's just nice to see him being trusted with an increase in workload and targets that I didn't expect to see this year. I think next year, obviously, Isaiah Horton's likely to move on if he goes into the draft this year. Same with Jeremy Bernard. This is the guy. I mean, we've got a couple of high-profile freshmen coming in. However, this is the guy for me that you want to be watching for quite a meteoric rise between now and this time next year.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's been so fun to watch him grow into this offense, and he's really benefited from the fact that Ty Simpson is again a quarterback that is happy to distribute the ball around. He's not locked onto one receiver. It helps when you've got a wide receiver room that has Rand Williams and Isaiah Horton and Joey Bernard in it, as well as Lottie Brooks. But given the fact that all those receivers are there, it's really impressive that Lottie Brooks has established a clear role, and like you say, not a gadgety Zachariah Branch kind of role. A true wide receiver role, as well as having the ability to kind of his lateral agility is really impressive, and his ability to decide when to cut and use his leverage, like use his angles to leverage defensive backs, has been really good. Yeah, someone who I'm really excited to get more shares of. I think this is a great pick for you, and I did have to hold off from stealing him.
I appreciate that.
Love it.
Okay, my final pick then. Now, I am very torn because I could go with who is highest on my board, or I could stick with the nickname or the reputation that I have and just leave him there and potentially go undrafted. Which would be funny, but if we're trying to give our listeners value for their time, especially as they've been with us for so long, I'm going to suggest that Nick Marsh is the next best player available.
Yes!
And that is because I'm going to take him and I'm going to sell him to Phil after he puts 120 yards on Michigan next season. And that's all I have to say on the matter.
So
I was sure Phil was going to take him. I was like, take him, Mike, and then you were talking about being a homer. I was like, oh no, it's going to be an Alabama guy. I was sure you were going to pick Marsh.
Next pick. He was going to be my next pick.
Yeah.
Nice.
There is another, and well, we'll see if Mags takes this guy. But the other guy I wanted to mention in this class, actually Phil mentioned him earlier. It's another Marsh. It is that Andrew Marsh at Michigan. He's really come on leaps and bounds and established himself as a true dependable wide receiver one for Michigan in an offense that, you know, they're not throwing the ball as much as, you know, Damon Williams is at Washington, but I'm really impressed with how Andrew Marsh has developed. So we weren't looking for sleepers, but there's your sleeper, and that was the guy I was weighing up here, along with Nick Marsh. So Mags, bring us home with your final pick, the final pick of the 2027-28 mock draft.
Yeah, I don't love this one. I've been frustrated with this player this year, but I did really, really like him last year. So I'm kind of going to go with what I seen last year. He's still only a sophomore. He just hasn't been used properly all this year. I still really like Caden Durham at LSU. I think he's got a lot of potential, a lot of talent, and he's someone I would love to see just transfer, get the hell out of there, unless Lane Kiffin does end up there, potentially use him a little bit better.
Yeah, I think you have taken the words out of both mine and Phil's mouths there. He's been completely underused. LSU cannot run the ball, and they haven't really looked to fix those problems. They didn't look to fix them in the offseason. They haven't, you know, have the ability to fix them mid-season. Brian Kelly maybe didn't even care. He was just cashing his checks and thinking of the beach. Yeah, Caden Durham definitely in this realm. In fact, exactly in this realm of my rankings at number 24 for this draft.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Can't hit that. Talent far outweighs situation, I think, in this case. And a lovely way to bring that home, because that's it. That's a 2-round mock draft, giving you the kind of latest update on where we are with our next 2 Devy classes. Obviously, no 2026 prospects in this class because we're now treating them in Devy circles as our Dynasty rookies. Max, I hope you enjoyed it, man.
I absolutely loved it, boys. Thank you so much. I feel like I've come out and actually learned an awful lot. I didn't make too many terrible mistakes. Maybe one that will reach here or there. Oh, who knows? We'll find out in 2027, I suppose, if it was a terrible reach or not. But I feel like I've come out of here a better Devy player because of listening to you two fine gents.
We appreciate that. Listen, we're on your show. You're the gaffer. You're the boss man. So why don't you tell the people where they can find all the amazing work the team's doing?
Let's do it. We got shows coming out of our ears right now, lads. It's absolutely fantastic. You can check out Mock Draft Mondays on the Dynasty Hotseat. That is your upcoming rookies. This 2026 class, there's a new mock draft episode out with John, aka Dynasty Coach A. He's running you through the 2026 class. An absolutely amazing episode that's out right now. Yesterday, so we're recording this on a Wednesday, so it's technically Friday when people are hearing this. Tuesdays, you'll be able to hear the weekly Dynasty show with myself and Ali and James as well. Love recording those. We've got a different topic each week. We go through it. Wednesdays, you can catch me live on the worst team ever rebuild show. Boys, we might make the playoffs. It's crazy. It's absolutely mad. Like, this team might make the playoffs. We've gone from Jimmy Garoppolo as our starting quarterback a little under 2 years ago, and we just secured a deal for Jaden Daniels. We're really moving places. It's going really, really well. So make sure you tune in to catch that. Thursdays, you can catch the 9 Things shows this week. It is 9 players we think are the most underrated in the NFL for fantasy football. And of course, the best show is every 2 weeks on a Friday. It is the Hot Seat Devy show, where you can catch the 2 best Devy minds in the game and sometimes some annoying guests coming on too. So, boys, that's what's going on. Loads of shows, loads of stuff. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. And if you don't already, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Like, if you're still here, 1 hour and 38 minutes, Jack, we've just set a record for our longest show ever. Yes. If you are still here 1 hour and 38 minutes in and you've not liked and subscribed, like, what are you doing? Go do it. Go do it now. We'll finish. You go like and subscribe.
Leave a comment if you're still here, actually. That'd be nice to see. Who's the real hardcore of the hardcores?
That's it. Right. Well, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure. Jack, should we do this again in 2 weeks?
Let's absolutely do this again in 2 weeks' time, when we will know who has won their CFF championships, who is your C2C Kings, and who has made the college football playoffs. See you then.
Peace.